Good morning, Wellspring. My name is Judy Bethman, and I'm part of your Sunday service team for November 7th, 2021. Isn't it a grand day to be in New Mexico? Just glorious. Thank God we live in God's country. All right, there are a few announcements. Early Bird continues to meet Sunday mornings at 9:30 via Zoom. The link is in the weekly email and on the website. There will be a Board of Trustees. We'll meet this Wednesday on the 10th at 6:30 via Zoom. We invite anyone in the congregation as we continue to do the work of our beloved Wellspring. Contact Edward for the Zoom coordinates. And lastly, our prayer team remains ready to serve and support you. You may submit a request via our webpage, or you may contact Geneva Collins with your request. Our prayer team meets virtually on Tuesday afternoons at 4:15 to pray with you. You may consider sitting in your quiet space during that time. We know we are one in spirit, and the energy of prayer knows no limits. All right, let us sit back and take a deep breath in and exhale and invoke gracious Spirit. We come before you today and we thank you for all the blessings that you have given us. Many times our lives are so full of busy work that we neglect our relationship with you. For that, we are sorry. We know that you never neglect us, for if you did, our very lives would cease to be. Continue to pull us to yourself. Guide us in our journey and hold us close in your bosom until the day we come home to be with you forever. Be with us now as we gather in your name. May we feel your presence among us. And so it is. Please stand if you are able, and we're going to sing the song of joy.
Praise the Son of Harvest Home.
Thank you. You may be seated, and let us read our vision, mission, and affirmation. Our vision: to elevate spiritual consciousness in our world. Our mission: to support individual spiritual quests through celebration, study, counsel, loving fellowship, and service. Our affirmation: I recognize the presence of the one living source expressing as me, as you, as this beloved community. We are connected in the one heart, one mind, one love. As I know the best and highest good for myself, I know it is for Wellspring too. All is in divine right order. Life is rich and fulfilling. We are blessed to share this sacred adventure together. And so it is. And now we have a new guest soloist. And Barry, do you want to come and introduce him for us? You betcha. Turn it off here then.
Hello, everybody. I am so excited. We have a new soloist. I've heard about him for quite a long time from our friend Teresa Turgery, who's been here before. And turns out that when he graduated from college in El Paso, Texas, he took a road trip in his VW van to San Francisco and stayed for 44 years doing music. So we have with us Doug Adams. When I was looking on the web trying to figure out how to introduce him, I found this website. He used to have a program on KTAL radio called In the Wind, which he called A Journey to Metaphysical Fitness. So I thought, oh, this sounds great. So anyway, he is a songwriter. He does have an album available next door. It's all musical. It's guitar, which you'll hear him play the first track from the CD after the service. But right now he's going to perform a song for us. And did I leave anything out here? Oh, he does have a concert down in El Paso at Star City on December 4th. So I just want to let you know about that. We'll probably get more information in the newsletter on that, so watch for that. And I think I'm now happy to introduce Doug Adams.
Thank you, Barry, and thanks for having me here. It's so great to be here. You are so beautiful, to me. You are so beautiful, to me. Can't you see? You're everything I hope for, everything I need. You are so beautiful to me. see. You're everything I hope for, everything I need. You are so beautiful to me. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Doug. Brought back many memories. Never ever happened to you when you hear a song and you get flick back 40 years. All right. The reading for this morning is from The Mind, Body, Spirit Connection by Joanne Allison, who is a prac. I know that I'm surrounded by infinite intelligence which reaches to my thoughts according to law. This intelligence, this spirit operates through me, as me. I claim a deeper realization of this consciousness, this indwelling of spirit now. I choose active right thinking, turning my mind, my thoughts to embody happy, healthy, wholesome ideas of life, vitality, and joy. I practice this mental life so that a more wholesome manifestation of my physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual aspects externalizes now. I know that I'm a perfect template of spirit. I read that again. I know that I am the perfect template of spirit. There is only wholeness, perfect order, and balance in spirit. I am that whole, perfect, and complete being. As I think, I envelop my thoughts in the feelings of my choosing. I transmit these thoughts and feelings into action. I take the action that allows these thoughts and feelings to manifest to create the life I love, and I love living. I know that my thoughts are ideas of spirits manifesting in my mind. I use the power of discernment to choose the best ideas and allow them to express for my highest and best. I accept and allow this process of mind expressing through my mind to manifest. In gratitude, I am thankful for this process of mind expressing through my mind, co-creating perfect health in all aspects of my being. I know this is the indwelling of spirit, the I am. I release these words into the creative medium, and they are so, and so it is. And now we have our message from our beloved Edward Burlbaw.
Thank you, Edwin, for admitting those folks. We're a little shorthanded today, but that's working out. So and again, Doug, thank you for that requested song. It's a whole lot better than if I just stood up here and read it. And so because today's topic I chose is You Are So Beautiful. And we've just, break up this 4-word phrase and examine one piece at a time. So the first word, of course, is you. And everybody knows who you is. But I'd say we're going to be speaking about one at a time, what I'll call all 3 parts of you. Your physical and your mental or ego and your soul. Second word is are. And we know are, that's exists. And interestingly enough, you are is the second person of I am, right? So, the word so is a superlative. It might mean to a great extent or to such an evident degree. And lastly, beautiful. Now, our typical definition of beautiful usually has to do with our physical beauty, being attractive, or having qualities that delight or appeal to the senses and often the mind, or excellent and wonderful, or having the qualities which constitute beauty, pleasing to the sight or the mind. So let's talk about physical first. So we all have our own shape, our own physical form. And no matter what form it takes, our body is the temple of our soul, and it is our representation in this 3D world. And I think as such, there is beauty in this fact alone. And today, obviously, it's going to be more than just talking about our physical self. As I said, it's about our mind and our ego or our spiritual self or our soul. But before I go into some of that, I want to kind of broaden our perspective of what can be beautiful. And again, it's easy for us to think when we speak of beautiful, that maybe it's a person or a picture or a sculpture or a landscape. And we also might think of a dance as being beautiful. And I want to say there's a process, there's a beauty in a process as well. You might think of teamwork as being considered beautiful, such as watching acrobats or trapeze artists. We say that's beautiful, but there's a whole process that's unfolding there in front of us. So I'd say that beautiful things aren't necessarily static things, but can be someone or something in motion, or even a manner of doing something. We might, we all say that we talk about the beauty of the stars and the orbits of the planets and the galaxies and things like that. There's much spoken about the music of the spheres. So there's God in nature, of course. And we might extend when we say that's really amazing or astounding, we might say, well, that could also be beautiful. But when we use the words that we do to describe God, such as love, peace, joy, and so forth, we don't always use the word beautiful to describe God. You say, well, the earth is beautiful, the landscape is beautiful, Mother Nature has physical beauty. And of course, as we say, there's nothing but God. It's all a piece and a part of God. So in that sense, God is beautiful, in case you don't usually think of it that way. And then, of course, we know that we are a piece and a part of God, and therefore we are beautiful no matter what we think. Now, if we truly believed how beautiful we were, there would be no reason for me to speak any further this morning. But I'm going to use a little logic, perhaps, to convince ourselves that we should consider ourselves as beautiful, no matter what that monkey mind or that whatever that sits on our shoulder that says, no, you aren't. No, you can't be beautiful. So no matter what that's saying, maybe we can use some logic to kind of push that aside and get you to where you need to be, or where maybe you need to be. I can't speak for you. So I want to read from November Science of Mind. Reverend Petra Veldes says, all of life is the expression of the one life. All creation is the body of the infinite, expressing and experiencing itself in infinitely diverse ways. This is necessary, or the universal spirit would not be fully infinite. Creation is where love becomes actualized and life becomes more of itself. It needs you, me, and the whole universe to become all of the infinite ways it can be. So that means that no matter how hard we try, we can't separate ourselves from divine expressing. Divine is always expressing through us and with us and as us. So I want to talk a little bit more, or a little bit about this beautifulness of the divine expressing and the beauty of our spiritual process, or our unfolding, or our spiritual evolution. And I think the whole process is quite beautiful, or amazing, as we might say. And to me, there's nothing more amazing than the manner in which our lives are set up to bring us exactly what we need, exactly when we need it, and exactly when we are ready for it. Now, I state that sort of from the third person about our lives, but our lives are not set up by some external being, as in the third person and, with a little wand and so forth. But that's really what our spirit self has arranged and what we attract into our life. It is really our life. We own it, we live it, and we learn through it. So now I've kind of been talking about our spiritual self. However, I think there can be beauty in our ego self or our mind as well. So I read this in a book I'm reading the other day. It says, every soul is born into Earth's school with a specific curriculum or set of intentions. And that curriculum predisposes our developing egos to make certain interpretations of early experiences so that the patterns we are here to work on completing are seated in our consciousness. Yeah, that takes some planning, doesn't it? Yeah. Another way of saying this is that our ego collects all the experiences of our life and creates the filter through which we see our life and our experiences. Any new experience we have is seen through that screen and through those past experiences. And of course, we're going to say, oh, that's real kind of heavy on us, right? All those fears and hurts that we learned as children, or maybe a little older, for those of us who are older still, those form the ego. So when we face a new experience, our ego looks at it, looks at the storage bins, goes over here to the file cabinets or the computer database, and retrieves what that statement meant in the past, or what that person did after they made that statement, what they meant by what they said, or what we interpreted them to mean. And then, from the ego perspective, we react based on all of those previous experiences that have just been brought to bear on that holy instant of now. Now, if there were no past experiences, like the one we just happened to arrive at, if you will, or if all of the negative experiences that we'd had been resolved, then we just experience what is in front of us and move on. It would just be like taking a sip of water. Unless you have some negative experiences associated with drinking water. But otherwise, when we have this called a negative reaction or unease with that experience, think of it as merely a caution flag that says, hey, we've got a little work to do here. There's no judgment assigned to that. There's dust on the piano. We need to dust it. So I'd say that our ego's job is to bring up all our stuff to be resolved. And that's the way we learn. Our ego sets this stuff up as a result of accumulation from our life, and then attracts exactly what we need for growth. You know, we say that the reason we're on earth is to gain soul experience. And the only way you gain soul experience is to learn through experience. So many times, and we're reading the book, The Power of Now, right now. Yeah, okay. By Eckhart Tolle. And he's talking about the pain body, and he's talking about our ego. And many times I think we think that we need to fight the ego somehow. And the chapter we were reading was talking about how our pain body or our ego fights for its life. And it looks for situations, looks for emotions that it can use to feed on. So I thought this was interesting. Our ego has within it the means for its dissolution. So when our ego brings up something to protect itself, as we resolve that or release it, it's actually diminishing the power of the ego, if you want to call the ego bad. So I thought that's kind of interesting. And a couple weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, Kamatara was talking about karma. And so many times, again, just like our ego, we think of karma as this adversary. Oh man, I came into this life with all this karma. It's horrible. And oh, don't make that a karmic, don't add to your karma, all those kinds of things. And to me, as my now understanding of karma, as opposed to my understanding in the 70s and 80s, that karma is not our adversary. It's really an instrument for turning unresolved issues into opportunities to love. So I would say, how much more loving and beautiful could the universe be in that it supports your growth by providing the seed and the solution at the same time? We are part of this, right? And of course, so many people have said, and I like this as well, is your life is exactly what you need to further your growth, to further your evolution. And some of you have heard me speak about how tickled I get when I see synchronicity. And there have been times in the past when we haven't coordinated our music and our reading as well as maybe we're doing now. And we have a guest musician, such as yourself, Doug, and they come in here and they play a song that just, it's like, wow, if I'd been picking, I would have picked that song. And then the reader gets up and reads something, and then the speaker gets up and boom, they just all stack on one another. And that's exciting to me because all these moving parts come together to make this beautiful symphony. Or we might say that it's the one mind coupled with the law of attraction to bring into our experience what and who we need right here, right now. And I think that's beautiful. So this you that we've been speaking of is really a system made up of the body, the mind, or ego, and the soul. And you as a process, as an evolving being, are beautiful. What a beauty to behold, each and every one of you. Try to imagine this from God's perspective. So I'm going to use a more physical analogy. Have you ever watched a small child, be it your own or a grandchild or another child, a nephew or so forth, learn to walk or to feed themselves? Doesn't your heart just soar at that, watching them growing? Okay, now that's the perspective that God has when each and every one of us is growing. So we are being the learner and the observer at the same time. It is joyous to watch our own evolution. How much more beautiful can that be than God watching, God expressing? And as I was thinking about that, I was reminded of that one talk that Sam gave a number of years ago before he retired. And he stood up here and he had this beautiful ribbon bow. And we've seen this in the memorial service as well. And he's holding this up and he says, "You are God. You are a gift from God to God." And that's kind of like God watching, God expressing. All right, so I want to take the lines from the song we just heard and think of it as a song to you, from you. We always talk about our mirror exercise where you stand in the mirror and you say, "I love you." So how about if you stand in the mirror, either real or figurative, "You are so beautiful to me." We're talking to our mirror person. "You are so beautiful to me. You are everything I'd hoped for." How about that? "You are everything I need. You're so beautiful to me." So I have another reading here. It says, "Let this idea sink softly into the deepest recesses of your awareness. You belong in your life because you are here. You belong to the universe because it is you. You belong to yourself because life is living in, through, and as you. You are as much a part of the one as the moon, the sun, the stars, and the whole of creation." So as a summary sentence or two, I'm going to say, the process of your soul gaining experience is beauty unfolding. You're nobody else but you, and you are so beautiful. And so it is. Thank you. So now we'll have our affirmative prayer. And I think I'll move over here a little bit. And we always start our prayer with God or Spirit or Source is all there is. There is nothing but Spirit. And we are a piece and a part of this great oneness of this Spirit. And all the joy, the peace, and the love of that one Spirit is ours as well. And all the power of that Spirit is ours as well to use. So we know we can speak our word. And it is the word of Spirit, it is the word of God, it is the word of Source. And as we speak, it also is done. So we take this moment to think about our friends and our family, our loved ones, members of our community who might be facing challenges right now, might be dealing with some issues. We know that Spirit is there for them. Spirit is there around them. Spirit is holding them in its bosom, nurturing them as well as nurturing us. And as this energy builds through this sanctuary here and through our members on Zoom, we just feel this tremendous warmth coming down, surrounding us, filling us from our head to our toe. We just acknowledge that warmth, that is Spirit, that is God expressing in us. So we just take this energy, we take this godliness, we take this God stuff, and we just see it, we place it on every member of our congregation. We also see it going out to Las Cruces, all the other communities that are meeting this morning. Just know that God is there also. God is expressing through each and every one of them. And we see it extending to our government leaders, both our community, our city, our state, our country, and all government leaders throughout the world. We just know that God is there, available at all times to provide the knowledge of the next right action. So we give thanks. We give thanks that we have this understanding of how Spirit works. We give thanks for this philosophy, this new thought. Change your thinking, change your life. We give thanks for that. We give thanks because we can see the beauty of God unfolding in each other. We can see the beauty of God operating in the world. No matter what else it looks like, we know that God is there. God is operating. God is still calling to itself. Come, my beloved, come. So we just place the power of this prayer into the law, into the mind of God. We release it because we know that it is already done. It is already perfection. And so it is. Now we get our guest musician back.
Thank you, Edwin. I'm Edward. You're Edward. He's Edward. And we have an Irwin in the congregation. I wanted to mention this because I thought of it while you were speaking, but also, for the Zoomers. Well, I'm looking for the switch. It's in here somewhere. Just briefly, I wanted to say, when I was playing You Are So Beautiful earlier today, I was reminded when I was in high school, I still have a very good friend named Hal Marcus. He's an artist in El Paso. And we were 15 or 16 years old and big Beatles fans. And he said, listen to these songs and first think of them like you're singing to a girl. You know, that's what you first of all think of. We were 15 or 16. You're singing to a girl. Then think of them like you're singing to yourself in the mirror. And then think of them like you're singing to God. It just seemed to really work with that song and with your words today. Okay. This song doesn't have any words, just guitar music. And once again, I want to really thank you for inviting me here and letting me be a part of this great community.
Thank you, Doug, and you can come back and see us anytime. Oh, okay. As we acknowledge and receive our virtual and in-person gifts, we give great thanks for the offerings already given and those we will be receiving, because we know that giving and receiving are both part of the one flow. We affirm that we are also part of that flow. We bless these gifts and know that they are multiplied throughout our community. There are a number of folks who have contributed to the production of this service, and we are grateful for their service. And we thank you for joining us today. And lastly, stay around in Zoom land after the service to visit with each other or join us in the social hall. Please stand if you are able and read with me the benediction, followed by the peace song. Spirit in the midst of us is mighty. Joy, peace, and eternal life are our true nature and flow through us into the world, and so it is. Now there is peace on earth, and it has begun with me. Now there is peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as our center, united all are we. Now we walk with each other in perfect harmony. Peace has begun with me, and this is the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Now there is peace on earth, and it has begun with me. Thank you all, and have a great, blessed week.